Gentlemen, welcome back to the shop. Tonight's little video is a review on these GEDORE adjustable wrenches. I know the guys in the States call them Crescent wrenches due to the shape of the head, but Crescent would actually be a brand name, and this is not Crescent wrenches. So let's get into it. This one is a 300mm 12-inch model that I've had for quite a while now, probably 7 or 8 years, and this is a 10-inch model, 250mm that I've bought recently. The newer one is a plain one without the fancy stuff. This one has the over-molded handle on it. The product number is, focus, number 62, 300mm long, and the other one is a number 62, 250. Now this one has got a little stamp in there or casting in there that says D2. Now, I don't know if that's D2 tool steel or not. Maybe leave it in the comments below. Nonetheless, let's carry on. This adjustable has actually done me very well over the years. I have used it, I have abused it. Well, not really, not abused it, not that much, due to the fact that it's got the plastic handle. You tend not to want to put a hammer on it, and as you can see, I haven't. Well, I can't be completely honest with you with that. I think there's a couple of hammer marks on there. So yes, it has seen hammer, but that's how we use it. Let's get rid of the elephant in the room while we're at it. Mr. Pete, and I think AVE also had a thing about it, but Mr. Pete long ago, he debunked the myth of having to work in a certain direction. Now normally, everyone who knows someone says the direction of use is in that way, and you will be put in front of a firing squad for using it the other way. So I use it whichever way. The thing is, if you look at a ring flat, this is a little 10mm. Sometimes you're in a tight space and you need to, if you only use it in one direction, you miss the whole point of having an offset angle. Then it could just as well have been straight. So I can't see that they would have put it at an offset angle and not have you use it the other way. So let me give you my theory on why you can use the adjustable wrench in which way direction. Let's what can we use here? I think I've got a little piece of masonite. So let's say this would be our bolt, and it's going to fit on there, and we are tightening this bolt, so we are going clockwise in that direction. So if we are tightening the bolt, we will be exerting pressure on, well, transferring the pressure on that side and that side. So what will happen is that would create a moment roundabout through here, and that's why they normally crack off through that thin section. Now, as you can see, that's a thinner section through the whole wrench, so that does make sense that they crack off through there. So we will be, and then the next one, all of that force is transferred into there, so you're sitting on those flats, and that wants to create a pivot point around this one, so the rack is leaning against the inside there, something like that. Maybe I should get you guys in a bit closer. So we've got all of that surface there that's taking the well, half of it on the one side and then somewhere transfers into the other side. So we've got all of that surface there, so that's why this is still the in my opinion, the weakest spot. So let's turn it around and see if we use it the other way around. So now we are still tightening, so we're still going clockwise, and we are still exerting all the pressure there. So now it goes in here, and this one goes in there. So what happens now is, now you start getting a force that is actually in that direction, and what picks that up is the, now your weakest, well, the weakest portion of the adjustable side is now the connection between the worm gear and the rack. Well, I guess there'd be some moment transfer, but not as much as mostly into that rack portion there. And this one now will once again create a moment around somewhere here. Will it? Up till you get to a point where it actually stress transfers, and this portion wants to come out and it cracks off around there. So it stays the same. This is still the weakest point. You can either have it bound up somewhere there, that also happens, but I think it'll always break off there. So in that sense, use it every and which way you can. Doesn't matter. I've never had an issue with it either way. So use it this way or use it that way. Somewhere you can get into a point and then you're going to have to turn around to get that last little piece out there. It doesn't matter on my side. I've always, my whole life, I've used them either, whichever direction. Right, and before we carry on now, I know there's going to be a lot of, let's call them purists, in the comments below, saying that you don't use a adjustable, you don't use a crescent wrench, you use the right wrench for the right application. Maybe in your shop. If you tell me that you do not use an adjustable from time to time, you're either lying or you haven't done field work anywhere. So let's give you an example that happened not too long ago with a friend of mine. They were planting sunflower, got a tractor stuck in the field due to a breakdown. I had to take some components off the implement, and as they took it off, that same night it rained about 2 inches. Now this is what it looked like from the side of the field. Now if you tell me you're gonna put 300 pounds worth of tools on your back and go into the field and go and put the implement back together so you can get the tractor out of the field, good luck. You'll be running up and down quite a lot. And I hope you've got your gumboots ready. So yes, normal people do use crescent wrenches. When I'm in the shop, I do use my normal sets as well, but every now and then this thing comes in quite handy. So yes, I do use them. I do abuse them. And if you've ever worked on hydraulic fittings, you definitely use them. Definitely, no questions asked. And let's say, for instance, let's give another example. You have to climb down in a mine, and you have to climb a 200-foot raise to go and fix something. You're not going to get the whole toolbox up there. This is going to be your friend. I promise you. This is what you want. So let's get into the differences between the two. Obviously, the one is we'll get to that in a bit. Obviously, the one is a 12-inch and the other one is a 10-inch. Right, so first let's weigh them in and see where they weigh in. The wife's going to kill me over a kitchen scale. So the big one is 728 grams, which is 1.6 pounds for the guys in the States. And the small one is 427 grams, which is 0.94 pounds. So it's quite a difference in weight between the two. The older style, as you can see, has got a little bit more beef around the edges over there compared to the new one. As you can see, they've had a rebranding in between. They've actually had a couple between red and blue, and the new one and the new red and the new blue and so on. This is old style blue, this is a new style blue. It's not a red, it's not the budget model. So they're basically the same in that sense. Let's look at maximum opening. Well, no, let's look at first at the thickness of it. The 300 millimeter has got a thickness of 14 millimeters that you can get into. Now that is sometimes a bit of an issue, especially if you've got some hydraulic fittings. They tend to be a bit thick, but that's why you've got this one then, which on the slimmest side comes in at 8.5 millimeters, just under 8.5 millimeters. So you can get this one in on the on the flat, hold it down, and then you take off the hydraulic fitting with the other one. So if you're changing hydraulic hoses, let's say for instance you've got a burst hydraulic hose on that tractor and implement back in the field, this is what you're taking along with you. You'll get much done if you know what the problem is with these two. Right, let's see maximum opening. Maximum opening on the 200mm one. No, let's go to this one. This one I've actually set to its factory setting. I modified it. In one of AVE's videos, he dipped his toe into actually grinding off a portion of the adjustable jaw. Now, we've been doing that for a long time. I don't know if you guys can see in there. I've actually ground in another, what do you call it? Tooth into the rack of the adjustable side. So what happens is, let me just get it to where it was again. Factory it opened to round about there about, and that is 35.7. Yeah, 35.7 millimeters. That was the original. Now it actually opens up to just over 40 millimeters, 40.4. So now there's a couple of issues with that and a couple of good things. Yes, you've got the bigger opening, but now you're sitting with that little issue there. But like Mr. Pete showed us, they tend to crack off here. There's enough meat in the adjustable jaw, and dispersing it over that length of the rack side, that it'll rather break off through this line and maybe just jam up on there if you bend something over there. So I'm not too worried about that. We're not using it that often on to 40 millimeters. So the existing one, the new one that I've got here, that opens up to 34.7, give and take, 34.7. So that also opens. So basically what happens is they are governed factory to, let's call it 35 millimeters. Now let's see, maybe I should get some paper out here. So 35 millimeters over the flats, and I had to go and look this up because I can't remember out of my head. Let's check here. If you're working in metrics, an M22, which is a 22 diameter, is 32 millimeters over the flat, and a M24 is 36 millimeters over the flat, and a M27, which is an oddball, is 41 millimeters over the flat. So by modifying, in essence, what you are having is factory stock 250 or 10 inch or 12 inch range can handle up to a 22 millimeter bolt. By modifying it, we are getting into that section. We don't completely get to the M27, so we will be getting in there. So you can definitely then see the benefits thereof. If we look at the standard sizes, then a 3/4 diameter is it's 1 1/4 inch over the flat, and that equals 31.75 millimeters. And then the next one up is a 7/8 diameter. Remember, this is diameter, bolt diameter, not the wrench size. So 7/8 bolt diameter is 1 7/16 over the flat, and that equates to 36, let's call it 36.5 millimeters. So once again, and then from there on, the next one would be a 1 inch, and that would be 1 5/8 over the flat, and that would then be odd, what's it, 41.275 if I can remember correctly. So once again, a standard adjustable will get you up to a 3/4 inch diameter bolt. That's bolt size, not the X size, and you can mod it up to the 7/8, but you won't really get to the 1 inches and above. That's not going to happen. So that being said, is it worthwhile? Yes, I am going to show you how to mod this one, because you will be getting up onto the next size bolt if you need be. Doesn't happen that often, but it has happened, and when you need it, you need it. So it's a quick fix. Right, so now the next thing is now the people, I know people are going to say, yeah, but you're gonna rape this thing and make a hash of it. Let's look at standard bolt torques, and you'll see where I'm going with this, to get to why I do it. Once again, I had to go and look this up. I'm not that clever, I can't remember it out of my head. If we go to the metrics, I don't think I'm going to do the inch sizes. I'm not that smart a man. So let's say, for instance, let's take a M22. The standard torque on an M22 is around about, give and take, 570 Newton meters. Now that is for grade 8.8 bolt and coarse thread. So 570 Newton meters. If we take the length of these and we say, right, this is 10 inches and 12 inches, or 250 and 300 millimeters, and we work the newtons back to kilograms, the M22 is going to be 58 kilograms times 1 meter. So if you take that and multiply that by 4 to get to 0.25 on that side, you are sitting with 193 kilograms of force on this one to get an M22 up to torque. Now that's quite a bit. The 300 one, I've done the math here on the other end, and now I'm lying to you. This is on the 300. On the 250, the 10-inch model, it's going to be 232 kilograms. So you're going to have to put 232 kilograms on this end to get an M22 up to torque, and you're going to have to put 193 kilograms of weight on this one right on the edge to get this up to torque. Now let's take it one up, because we've modified it now to be able to take an M24 7/8 bolt size. So for a M24, can you guys still see it? So for an M24, the standard bolt torque that I looked up was 725, give and take, Newton meters. That's also for grade 8.8 coarse thread, and that equates to, if you take the newtons back to kilograms, so that will then be 73.9 kilograms per meter times meters. Let me know in the comments below if I'm making a hash of this up. So divide that by, multiply that by 4 to get to 250. So for a 250 size wrench, you will need 295 kilograms of force on there, and for the 300 you will need 246 kilograms of force to get a M24 bolt up to standard torque. Now what am I saying? I'm saying that it is almost basically impossible for a standard human to use a adjustable wrench, get the big sizes of bolts up to torque without putting a snipe or pipe on the end and using it that way. If you're really up to torquing stuff, then you will get the decent torque wrenches. Now, the normal off-the-shelf torque wrench, you're going to pay a pretty penny to get a torque wrench that goes up to 725. I can tell you that much. They are not cheap to come by. So, what do you use the adjustables for then? Now, because now you're telling me that I don't have a use for them. They do have a use. Hydraulic fittings, you don't torque up to that spec. A lot of stuff that I've had them used on was typically stuff that are spring loaded and that you set spring tensions on. Come in very handy. Normally tractor implements and so forth. Now let's get to the flaws on this thing. If you've got a crescent wrench, I promise you, you have a hammer as well. This one has been used as a hammer. Let's get you in closer. There we go. So now what happened with this one is, you can see there I had to use a carbide burr and take out that little edge there. The problem being is, as you're hammering, you're hammering right on that hole, straight up. That's where it happens. That on the hole and a bit up. As you can see, the hammer marks are right on the hole side. So it actually bound up. I actually bent the metal there and I had to grind it open. Now that's on the newer one, they actually thought about it and they've already cleaned up the edge there. So this one is ready to become a hammer. I haven't used it that much, so I haven't used it as a hammer yet. So they're actually thinking about it. They're actually thinking. The guys designing this actually thinks about it. Okay, so now we're at that point where I'm going to show you how to modify your adjustable wrench to get one size up on it. So what we need to start off with is, let's close it down. Now you can see the last little section of the rack sticking out, and then there's a section where the gear tooths haven't been cut in, and that's where it gets stuck on. The worm gear actually goes into that little hole in there that should be there, so we're going to cut a new one in there. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to zoom you in a bit. Don't know if you guys will be able to see there. So what we need to do is, now on this one, actually on all of them, now this one has got it's beveled in either way. This one has got a flat edge and a skew edge. So if we let's measure from the other side. So if you take that point there, just on the, I don't know if we're going to get it right. Well, we'll get close. This is about 1.5 millimeters of flat on there. So we need to then go back in there and get 1.5 millimeters worth of flat on there. So what I'm going to do is, now I hate doing this. I'm just going to do a little bit of a scratch on there. Just gonna do a little bit of a scratch on there. I hate doing it. So that's the one that we're aiming for. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna grind off that section. The angled portion is going to be to this side, so we're just going to grind that in and up to a point where we've got the depth on that side. So the depth on that side, eyeballing it. Let's see. Now, how about we don't eyeball it and we make it work? And we do a little scratch pass on there. So that's what we're going to grind out. I'm going to zoom you out a little bit so we can get into what we're doing here. So you will need a cutting disc in a 4-inch grinder to get this done, or if you've got a die grinder with something like that, that also works wonders. Go and check out, I'll put a link up here, go and check out how I built this one. So the grinder would be okay. Now one thing you must check as well, this rack is actually pitched, it's not square. So make sure that you don't cut the holes, the relief square in. It should be angled according to the angle of the gear teeth in the rack. I think what I'm going to do, no, I can't. So, and just take it slow. Just take it slow and make it work. Eyes and ears. Maybe if I've got electricity, it'll help. And there we go. Focus. And there we go. So let's see if we've done enough, if we need to take off some more. Now remember that thing opened up to 34 and something. So there is our, I'm going to try and get you in here. Don't know if you guys will be able to see. So there it was, it's normally stuck, so we're almost there. It's still getting caught up a little bit. So we need to take off a little bit more. There we go. So that was with the old one, and now we can actually, I think it'll actually, this one will turn out completely, so be careful of that. But now let's say with the last of the gear tooth on the rack engaged, we can get up to there, which is now back to 37. I might even go a bit further. 39, there we're on 39. So we will then definitely be able to get to the M24 size, which is a 36mm. We're far over that. 39 is more than enough. So you can get up to that size. And now it's sorted. Now, given your normal use for this this wrench would be in the area between, let's call it a 13 maybe, a 17 and a 19 is where you use this. That's a standard 8mm and 10mm bolts. That's normally where it gets used. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you've made it thus far, thank you very much. That is how you modify your adjustable wrench to get one size up and get over that 3/4 diameter bolt. With that, I'm going to call it and say thank you very much. As always, please rate, comment, subscribe, ring the little bell. You know what you need to do. It really helps us out. And with that, I'm going to say thank you. And as always, stay safe.